that this
If you insist on
replacement
calling
is-
it soccer, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you insist.
Yeah, I don't really
And-
give a good crap,
And,
but you know.
and the ones that say soccer, they usually do insist. They're
Yeah,
like,
it is. You know what? I think the ones that do call it soccer is because they in this mindset is like, I don't want to call it football.
yeah, football's mine.
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't want to
like
call it football.
they're
This
little
is soccer.
they're a little fragile with their verbiage, and it's like, dude, hey, I played for 10 years. I understand that we call it football,
Yeah.
but once you realize that the rest of the world calls it something else, just
Yeah.
when you're talking about them, use that
Yeah.
verbiage. That's respectful, I
Yeah.
think.
For me, football makes more sense, but it's
Of course.
interesting actually. What was this? How you call him? The captain, the former captain of United. He's on the show too. He has a
Roy Keane.
podcast on- Roy Keane.
Yeah.
And he was saying that I'm just saying this to say that he was saying that he loves American football.
Sure.
And that's how that was the verbiage he used, because growing up in Irish actually, which is weird, they had a channel that always showed it. So he understands it. And apparently a lot of people in Ireland too, because
Yeah.
they grew up watching it. And he said American football. But like, he's making a distinction, but he's not necessarily saying, hey, you guys shouldn't call it football because
Right, no.
you pay like 2 seconds with feet and the
It's completely completely understood everywhere else in the world that like soccer is called football and the NFL is called American football. You just call it American football. It makes perfect sense, and just be done with it, and it's over.
And that's just to say, because he didn't make it a point to say, oh, I will make it a point to say that's not football. He just said American football. We move on, and let's move on. PSG wants Declan Rice. That would be a really, really tough one for Arsenal if Declan Rice leaves, because man, this is the lungs of the midfield.
Oh yeah, and even though he hasn't really been hitting the exact same strides this season that he did the season before, he is still. I'm still surprised that PSG would be willing to pay 10 million over the crazy breaking 100 million that Arsenal spent. Like, you would still be getting some of your money back, and you'd be getting your money back and then some. But like, you don't want to get rid of him. And Arsenal have made it pretty clear that they admire the offer. Like, thank you. If someone was going to spend that kind of money, it's you. We said it last week. But yeah, they're not interested in selling, and nor should they be.
I think the reason it's also because PSG, they do this thing, and I think it's also because they're owned by the Saudis, where it's not really about money sometimes for them. And I think it's really bad sometimes because it overinflates the sport itself. And a lot of players end up getting valued at way more than they're supposed to be valued.
I think that part of it really is it's not the fact, like, they had the money to spend. And they want to spend it, but I think that it's more important to them for people to know that they made that offer than it is to actually get the player. They want people like they're the ones that are at the auction house that are high bidding everything, but more so looking around to see if people saw it. Did you see that? 110 million. It's right here. 110. 10. And you're just like, I get it. You just want them to see that you spending the money.
That's the worst thing, man, because it just inflates football, and every other player thinks he is the next best thing since Maradona. So that's the
there is that, but it's like the biggest issue is not even really the players thinking that. It's the clubs having to convince each other to walk the prices back down, because none of them want to say either that no player's actually worth 100 million, because they probably have someone on their roster that they'd gladly take 1 million for, but every time that they're doing a deal for someone else, they have to tell that club, oh well, your guy is not actually worth, like, that, right? They're like, it's just the market. And it's like it sets everybody up to be a bit testy with each other, and that's not good.
Liverpool interested in Frankie de Jong and Arsenal Joshua Kimmich in the summer. So either or, I guess. Or both of them.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen them linked to both and enough. And Frankie de Jong is interesting. I do think that you can get a good player out of him. I think he's really good. He's just
like 20 million, I guess.
Probably a little bit more than that, but I'd say closer to 40. And I mean, I'm not like smiling ear to ear when I pay that price either, respectfully. But the question about Joshua Kimmich, he's 29, he'll be 30, but like by the time that he steps foot in England to play, he would be 30. And then you have to ask the question as well: is he going into your midfield, or is he going in because he plays right back now out of necessity? not because he wants to, not because he's that's where his best skill set lies, but is that your replacement for Alexander-Arnold, a 30-year-old that's playing out of position? I don't see that, and they've got a good midfield.
Yeah.
They've got Szoboszlai, they've got Gravenberch, they've got McAllister. I can see Frankie de Jong being in there for a solid rotation, working his ass off. I don't see two guys fitting in that midfield. Like you do need reserves. You need guys on the bench, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need two new guys coming in. I think that they need to be answering more of their back line because, if Virgil leaves on a free, which very well could happen, Konate is in good form, but it's proven that he needs somebody else in good form with him. Yes, he's kind of like Gabriel that way. It's like he's kind of, he can take on somewhat of the shape of the person next to him.
Yeah.
But if Virgil leaves and Alexander-Arnold leaves, Kimmich is not your answer to replace Arnold, and you need to be worried about replacing Van Dijk soon. You need somebody like a Saliba.
Yeah, I think they should be more worried about having their their strikers too, because it looks like they're not gonna renew a lot of these guys' contract next summer or this upcoming summer actually. So what are these people that you're gonna replace? These guys that are going out or potentially going out, or at least if you're not renewing, who are you putting back in the team? Because you gotta put someone with similar caliber or at least young, because if you're gonna try to contend or be at that level of competition, you need guys. Yeah,
I mean, and they've done a good job so far of replacing the Hendersons, the Milners, the Fabinhos, and it looks like you're right. I mean, before we get to the next segment, Luis Diaz might be leaving. Darwin Núñez is not good enough, whether you want to believe it or not. Salah is probably soon. He's gone sooner rather than later.
His contract,
So that's three at the top of my head. Robertson is getting a little bit older. Alexander-Arnold's pretty much out the door, and Virgil van Dijk could leave on a free. That's your entire front and back line.
Yeah.
Konate, and
I wonder.
No one.
Jota,
Diogo Jota, and he's fine. But he's been a little more injury prone lately.
Yeah. I wonder if they had this whole thing planned or packed down where they know where they're gonna go get players, because it looks like till now they haven't had sign of any renewal and any kind of poaching players around, or even any prospect players that they're looking at. So I'm really interested to see who they bring in.
Yeah,
to replace a lot of these players.
All I've seen them linked to is midfielders, which
Yeah.
I mean, and they prioritize that, and I understand that, and that is part of what's made them better than everybody else over the last 7 or 8 years. But I mean, I just listed off guys that need to be replaced, and they're all in other aspects of the field. And so,
you think Madrid would do well with Van Dijk, and I feel like they would do well with Van Dijk and Rudiger, but it's more of a short term, not a long term. Because Van Dijk is also at that age. Well, closer to the point where, but
so
you never know.
And so is Rudiger.
You never know, because that was the argument for Rudiger at Chelsea, and Chelsea let him go, and then he went and winning Champions League, and it's like, come on, man.
It's like would you rather have Van Dijk and Rudiger in the middle, or would you rather have Militao and Saliba in the middle? Because Saliba. I mean, but you really got to figure out next. I mean, if Militao gets one more injury, that's it.
Yeah,
he'll continue playing.
Yeah, but he
can't continue playing for Real Madrid. You just can't. You can't validate that.
That's true. Especially if he is also on a high salary cap. I mean, you gotta load it or offload him somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't,
because it's not his fault. It's something personal, and I like him. He's a great player. But when he's like Reece James. It's like when I say he's not.
These are just what ifs players.
Like when I say he doesn't have what it takes to play for that. It's not the talent.
No, yeah.
But I mean, if you're hurt all the time, and it's and again, I'm not blaming you by saying that you're injury prone. I know that some guys get upset about that, and it's it's not personal. And some guys get hurt more than others.
Money, man.
Yeah,
can't make money if you always injured, and that will be it. But if you get those kind of guys, it means you also planning to get more, because that's just like a short term deal. But also these guys are really playing well. Like Rudiger's been a little bit more of a surprise of not in terms of what he can bring, but how sustainable he can do that at the age he is at.
Yeah.
So that even Van Dijk. So that's another proof that sport in general has progressed so much that a lot of players can now can last longer in the sport because of the technology, the way you eat, and how
the training,
and stuff like that. This weekend we had interesting games or matches. City, Liverpool, man. City can catch a break, man. They just been beaten everywhere.
Yeah,
left and
rough.
right, man. But I was happy in Champions League though. I was happy in Champions League. We got them good. we clipped them.
Yeah.
We rough. Got your man Guardiola, man. Mbappe got him good. He almost went to the hospital, I think so.
Yeah. And it was funny with the Liverpool Man City one though, because like, you know, you look at and again, stats don't mean as much as the end result, you know, but like, you think that with the highlights that you'd watch, because I watched the full game, then I watched the highlight package, and it's interesting seeing like once you've watched the full game, then the highlight package, they almost don't represent the exact same thing, because, you know, Man City had more possession, they had more shots in general. And I'll tell you what, the only positive outcome I think for Manchester City, Jeremy Doku rode Alexander-Arnold like a fucking donkey the entire time. Yeah. He broke past him. It's truly, I think,
too many times.
I'm going to throw out an actual number based on some of the just highlight clips I saw. I think that he broke in, got in from behind, you know, put on a bit of skill to get through him and Kanade on that side at least 18 times. At least 18 times to then send the ball inside. Now he's one of those guys. As much as he does all that stuff, you know, as soon as he lets the ball leave his feet, it's not connecting to anybody. But the ball was still getting inside the box, and defense closed it down well. Yes. That does not change the fact that Alexander-Arnold cannot do that at a higher level. With Real Madrid. On that, because that's Vinny's side.
Yeah,
that's Rafinha's side.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that's true. You can't do that, man.
Yeah. The whole thing about it, if you're Madrid, which I think Madrid should instead go for someone that defends, because you know Vini is not going to be defending anything, because these players are more focused on the opposite side of the game, which is attacking, you know. So you want someone, but I know what he brings though. That's crazy, because I think that they were lucky that Jeremy Doku has next to no end finished product. Yeah. Because if he did, that side, man, they probably would have fired all those guys.
Well, the reason that I said Vinny's side, because I mean they would both be playing for the same team at that time. I mean, you're just gonna get lit the fuck up in training all day, every day. It's like if it's not in your ability to get better, it's gonna be shameful, and you're gonna quickly dip out of form, because like you do not want to perform that poorly all the time like that. Even in training. I mean, like any sort of first team scrimmage, you're getting absolutely fucking demolished, dude, because these guys are next level, and then you're in game time with Rafinha, who has developed finishing product, and so you know what I mean. So
that was sure, man.
With your performances being almost doubly or triply important in the Champions League rather than the domestic league. I'm not saying the domestic league doesn't matter to them, but you're going to be playing every step of the way in that tournament with guys that are better finishers than Doku, that have that pace, that have that skill.
But when you watch that game, right? When you watch the game or any game that City plays, do you feel like because I think City, there's talent, right? Yeah. There's just no cohesion, there's no chemistry, which is crazy, because, and this is where I always think the players should be 50-50. 50 in the sense that when a team that is heavily based on tactics plays out of tactics, they can't save their life for nothing, because they might be individually talented, but they don't know how to play off vibes.
Yeah, sure.
Because now it's like,
adapting.
Well, yeah, what should I do? That guy should have been dead.
If the initial tactic doesn't work, they can't move outside of the plan.
Because they're so focused on the Mamu should have been there. He's not there. What should I do? But teams that are like kind of either hybrid or mostly vibe is kind of easy, because at least one person can do things. One person can, unlock the situation. One person can unlock the defense, which I think Mamu, Savinho, they're promising. They're really promising. Yeah. City didn't play bad, but
Marmouche
they just can't find themselves
by
together.
far. Yeah, I think that what the biggest issue for them is that, one, I think they've really neglected the last 3 windows that they've had. Yeah, getting certain players that are not fitting that system. Yeah, and then like Matheus Nunes, I'm not that impressed with Savinho. I think that he could be a good player somewhere else, but like, it's like Jack Grealish coming in, like the way your tactics are taking away some of their assets, and now all of a sudden, what do you have? Because at Villa, Grealish was a bit more free, and now you're saying, well, you can't do 75% of what you did, so just do this piece. And it's like, well, that wasn't what I was best at. You can tell that Savinho has flair. He's good on the ball. If he was, somewhere like a, upper mid-table French side where he gets a bit more freedom, it's a bit more relaxed, it's a bit more like the pressure's off, I could see him doing very well there. But, the guys that you brought in have not been immediately able to jive with the system. And then all of a sudden, the guys that were your rock stars in the system they're not fit anymore. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne is not fit anymore.
No. I think
Bernardo Silva is not fit anymore.
It's crazy because I actually read this morning that he might be leaving next year because there's no talks of contract.
Your three guys in that midfield that were the best at applying the tactics and still maintaining their own skill and personality were De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Silva. And all three of them now are unfit.
Yeah.
So even if they can follow Pep's tactics perfectly, what's going to end up happening is that 3 out of the 11 on the field are going to be applying the tactics, and they're the ones that are not physically fit to get back in transition. So now you've got young guys that are not part of your system that that don't understand the tactics, and so now you're declining on both aspects. Young people not being able to have the mentality, and the mentally capable not being physically fit anymore. And it all happened like that because you squandered that.
And when you play with a team like Liverpool is always comfortable not having the ball. But the problem is that are you comfortable having to counter them on a counter attacks? Because on the counter attack, I think in the last 7 years they've been the most productive team based on counter attacks alone, where they don't necessarily waste every single counter attack. Or the wastage rate is really low for me. I think Liverpool because that's where they really get you. And
they seem like they've maintained the physicality and the energy and the desire to smother you that Klopp had, but it doesn't feel like every single moment is running like a psychopath.
Because Klopp, I think the players are a little bit old too.
And I think that Slot realizes that as well. It's like be more aware of the chances that you do take, but we are still playing that same style, but every game is not the Champions League final, and we need to kind of behave that way. Whereas Klopp was fine letting those guys run themselves into the ground.
That's crazy because when the first time I noticed Klopp's tactic was at Dortmund when he played that 2013 final, or that run he had. Man, these guys were crazy. I thought they were drugged or something. It's like, man, that was the one of the revelation.
And then him at Liverpool in their prime, that was so fun to watch.
That 2019 run. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And even the 18 when they went to the final and lost, and then they won the league, and then they won their own final. Like
you could tell they were coming back to win it.
Yeah. Like there was no other option. But like even if you hated Liverpool, even if you had another team that was competing for the league, it was still so much fun to watch them, and that's what you want more. I think at least. Even if you do support a club, it should be more about liking the game. I want someone to be playing at any given moment the absolute best that the world can provide at that moment, so that I can watch the best play that way. And and Liverpool are maintaining that. They're still very fun to watch.
Arsenal, West Ham, when we think that the league or the year is not as competitive in the sense that the past years the bar have been raised so high by City, where 90 plus. Now that there's a little bit of chance, Arsenal still can be in the front runner. Then you ask yourself, what is the problem, or what can you fix it? Now, some people thinking it's also the lack of a great center forward, because if you look at 2013 to 2024, all teams that won the championship had excellent strikers, like something like 22 plus. They don't just say a striker; they say someone that has at least 22 plus goals.
I mean, and it's none of the other big six sides other than Liverpool have been playing to the standard that we've started trying to hold those big six to. It's a bit of a mix of Liverpool playing that well, and everybody else not able to kind of reach that. Like a lot of the competition that you thought you were going to have, you don't have anymore. Around Christmas, Chelsea looked unstoppable. They looked like they were going to creep their way back into a top three scenario, which it doesn't. I don't know if they'll get there. If they do, it'll be a very close one. And Arsenal looked on fire as well. City did not. They were shaky, but them finishing outside of the top 3 or top 4 was a complete. What do we think? Let's be serious. And now you have like Nottingham Forest, and you have Bournemouth, who's I think like 6th. So it's the league is a bit more competitive, but it's not. Unfortunately, that the big six quality has increased to try to match Liverpool, because you want a 2 to 3 to 4 horse race playing at the very top level, but it's been more competitive in a way that kind of Serie A has been more competitive, where not one club is playing other than Liverpool absolutely lights out. You've got Napoli, you've got Lazio, you've got Atalanta, you've got Inter, you got Milan. Like they're all kind of they're all dropping weird points. They're all blowing out some guy, and like it's kind of an unpredictable league. Premier League is kind of that way with everybody under Liverpool right now. You're not entirely sure what the rest of the big six are going to do.
But is that not very, very pertinent for the fans when Arsenal's coach or manager says that we are nowhere near the level required to challenge for the Premier League, when a lot of people are thinking and looking at you for the past, how many years? 5 years, 6 years now?
Really 6, yeah.
And thinking, oh, you look good, but every single time, like Patrick Silva said, watching Arsenal it's like watching Netflix every single season.
Yeah,
you just expect another episode. So now it's not time to question or ask yourself, what can you do more?
Yeah, it's better than it was 4 years ago or so, because at least the last 2 seasons before this, it's not so much it was impossible.
Yeah.
And most of those guys that helped you get there are still, it's like you've got that core group of guys to do it still.
Yeah.
Still wish they had Granit Xhaka. That was the one that kind of, because he's now Leverkusen are flying with him. So like that was one. Like there are certain ones that you're like, don't know if that was the best option to let him go or not. But most of the people that were there in the last couple of seasons, because this one was a collapse.
Yeah.
And like they're not playing horribly, but this is, of those 3 seasons of really trying to contend, this was the one that kind of tapered off earlier. But having all those guys that did it before mostly still there, it doesn't feel impossible. It's just, what adjustments do we need to make?
Yeah. Thinking about it, it looked like this was gonna be, in the mind of a lot, being the season where we actually see Arsenal either win, because thinking the past 3 years it was like City, Arsenal. But do you think that, yes, Arteta did this great job of having this team that we see now, but you need another coach for the next step to unlock the next step, or you just let him be there?
I tactically I like what he does.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Oh.
You always say Syrian, and like it always thinks that you say Syrian weird times. No, I think that his tactics work. I think that the biggest issue that they've had, and I don't know who's to blame, and if it is him, then he needs to get his head out of his ass. And if it's the front office, they need to do the same. But it's been lack of activity in transfer windows. That's the thing. It's not so much that the Sterling transfer didn't make sense to me. I don't think that they should have let Granit Xhaka go. But you wonder how you're going to improve on Ben White when Ben White was one of the best 3 right backs in the league for 2 years straight, and you do with Yuri and Timber. You bring in Calafiori, and that works. You have the 2 best center backs combination in the league, arguably, with Van Dijk and Konate being right up there. So it's like it's a 1 or 2. You've got a good midfield runner, kind of core. But for whatever reason, they're refusing to identify really that they need someone in reserve for Bukayo Saka, and then now they've got that with Nwaneri.
Yeah,
he's gotten the minutes and he's proven that. Just like, even though you can't always bank on a 17-year-old from the academy coming to do that. It happened, and you worked with it, and it fits. But yeah, like you do need somebody like Nico Williams on the left, and they've been linked to him. But you also need somebody like Isak up front, and a lot of people need someone like Isak up front. But you've got to go get that guy. Yeah, they're not very active in the January windows, and I know that January is not the time to shop a bunch. But when you've got this injury crisis, and we knew looking, in December, we were a little threadbare up top. So you've got to be able to pull the trigger. Someone in the chain of command has been purposefully reserved in the amount of transfers that they bring in, both in the summer and especially the winter. And if that's him, that needs to be fixed. If it's someone in the office, someone's got to talk to him. But everything else outside of that, I do think, is working in Arteta's favor. And I can't speak for everybody, but yeah, I would think it's a bit premature to let him go, to just bring somebody else into the project and let them put 1 or 2 pieces together and then find success. I do think that he can do it.
Yeah, let's do a little recap of the Champions League before we call it quit. The full bracket came out.
Yes, sir.
This Friday. Was it this Friday? Yeah.
Last Friday.
How did I miss last Friday? Oh, last Friday. I'm thinking,
Gotcha,
2 weeks ago. I was like, what? PSV Arsenal. Actually, we get to see Arsenal. I think Arsenal got this good. They have to be in the quarterfinal. I mean,
they did well against PSV. They were in the same group as them last year,
Yeah.
or the year before that in the Champions League. That was one of the better opponents that could have been. Drawn.
You got to go, but man,
Sure.
having a final before the final is crazy.
Yeah.
And if Madrid wins the championship, this is a crazy path because you beat City, you beat these guys, you lingering in there, and you playing Atletico Madrid. Personally, I wouldn't want to face Atletico Madrid in Champions League again, knowing their history.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that you've beaten me for so long, but this might be my day, and you might get it.
Yeah, in the knockout stages, if Madrid were to get to the final, they will have beaten Man City in the playoff, Atletico in the round of 16, more than likely Arsenal in the quarterfinal, and then probably Liverpool in the semifinal to then get there. But so like you would have earned that. But at the end of the day,
I don't think that's possible.
That is what the Champions League is about.
No, I mean like for Madrid. Another Madrid, just because now the defense is now.
But there is, because they're on opposite sides of the bracket, and it'd be the first time ever, and it'd be pretty interesting. There is a possibility of an El Clasico in the final. Barcelona and Real Madrid in the final.
You know what?
That could be
crazy?
wild, man. Because Barcelona have had their number lately.
Yeah. That would be crazy. But, man, that could possibly be the biggest numbers in the world.
Yeah.
In terms of just football.
Yeah.
Could create. I'm not missing that one if that one.
Not at all. No. I like this new format. I like the playoffs. I like the
Paris Liverpool, but the format is a great format. But it's still in the. I still think that there's not like. How will I say this? They didn't do. It's not a big shift from some teams being in some brackets or groups where they would just play lower level teams and still get away. Like if you look at Barcelona, they really didn't play anyone that was kind of tough.
Yeah.
And which is, I thought that was the whole thing, but also the format also helps all the little teams get to a certain point before they get knocked out, or you might never know, they can even win it.
Mm-hmm.
But Paris Liverpool, that's a good match.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I don't think.
What if Paris goes through?
I mean, if they go through, they go through. And I mean, at the end of the day, they should have drawn higher. People were saying that it's like the whole point of the seeding system is that if you performed better in the league, you're more likely to get a lower level opponent. And but they drew PSG, and I can't sit there and think well, no, they drew PSG because PSG performed poorly in the league. Like, just because they're a big club doesn't mean that they couldn't have performed poorly. They drew the 15th slot. Like, that was it. Like, what do you mean? Like, they earned that spot. They did not get into the top 8. They did not get the bye from the playoffs. So it's a big club matchup. It's the last one of that potential that Liverpool had to get, but they earned that spot because they were playing poorly. But now that they're in form. It could be a different thing. It could have worked out really well for PSG. We performed very shittily in the league to draft lower and then find form and possibly sneak something in. I don't know.
Club Brugge, Aston Villa, which is, I think this might be one of the greatest underdog games.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that will be a very, very interesting match, and it's crazy because the since we're talking about Atlanta, let's just talk about real quick about what happened with Ademola Lookman. For those who can't pronounce the other name, but Lookman is his name, and missing the penalty, and all hell broke loose, and the coach was like, "Hey, he should never taken that. He's one of the worst penalty takers, and he should have never taken it. No. He should have let Rotegi or close something." Yeah. So there was a lot of backlash, a lot of hey ho, hey hello. But one thing that I read about is, although he shouldn't have taken it because he's not the penalty taker of the team, but the penalty taker of the team told him to take it.
They gave it to him.
So as a coach too, I think first of all you should never mention things like that unless you're not coaching the team. Then
I think he could have. All he needed to say was he was not supposed to take that penalty, because you can say that, and that's true because he's not the penalty taker. And then all of a sudden you're looking out on the pitch like, what the fuck is he doing? like you're allowed to say he was not supposed to take that penalty, and you don't have to give anybody else any detail. But your penalty taker and your captain do not need to do that because they train with him. They know how bad he is in penalties.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that what he said was
every team
wrong.
has a penalty taker assignee.
And everybody has, like, it's not uncommon for a forward to be bad at penalties.
Yeah.
It's a completely different skill set. There are certain guys that you do not want up there. It's not always your star forward that's your penalty taker.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know, a holding midfielder, Jorginho, is a lot of people's, like, it's like he's not up in the box making things happen. He was more than within his rights to be able to say he was not supposed to take that.
Oh no, that's true.
They were. I don't know what they discussed out on the pitch, but that was not what's supposed to happen.
I think Ratege is the penalty taker signing, but the team.
Yeah.
But if no one wants to step up and you are the one that say, "Hey, go take it."
Yeah.
No one wants to step up. I'll just go take it. You already know I'm bad, but you trusted me to go take it. Hey, that's on you guys.
Yeah, like when you've been assigned the position of penalty taker, it should not even be a discussion, even for you.
Yeah.
Of going like, I don't know if I'm going to take this one. It's like, no, that's not for you to do. No. Before we walked out here, we understood that you're taking that.
Yeah, that's true.
No matter who fouls. Like, there's no conversation that we're having right now. There's no, I don't know, we'll see if how I'm feeling. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you do that just like I get up and go work in the morning. Like, it's part of the task.
That's why you step up to good thing. I mean, Ribery was a good player and wasn't really a good penalty taker.
Yeah, right.
Edin Dzeko is not a good penalty taker. Lorente is not a good penalty taker. Mamadou Niang is not. These are all people that you cannot let when push. When things are serious, games are high stakes. They should never be allowed nowhere near the box.
Yeah, and it doesn't even sound like Lookman was like approaching, saying like, "Hey, I really want to," like trying to take it away.
Yeah.
It was like the captain and the penalty taker were both like, "I don't know, you want this?" And like that's the way that it was perceived, because like Lookman doesn't seem like he would be the one that. Yeah. Especially like if you know, I mean, you're the one taking. You know better than anybody else that you're not good at these.
That's true.
So you're not in this moment going to be approaching, saying, "Hey, can I have like?"
He's never been good at it.
They offered it to him because they were fucking bored. I don't know what that is, and that's a worse excuse.
I think the rest were scared and then probably thought, if I fail, it's gonna be on my head. Better that guy.
And it will, and that's what's unfortunate about penalties, and that's why you have a designated penalty taker. So that's why the penalty taker it's not even up for debate. Like you are performing your job right now. Like there's no discussion. Duty. Yeah.
Dortmund Lille, I think that's a great game, but I think Dortmund goes through.
I think Lille goes through.
You think Lille?
I think Lille goes through. Yeah.
I haven't watched Lille lately though, but
they got a little more pace up front, and you know the back line of Dortmund are pretty shaky. They've been pretty shaky for a long time. They're older. Schlotterbeck's back there. I don't know. If there's one upset, that's mine. So I've already put it down because I've already got my predictions. That's the one in this bunch that is probably the most.
You know what's because Benfica Barcelona, it's a very interesting game because Benfica have had the best of Barcelona sometimes. So I'm interested. But Barcelona of today, it's a different kind of beast. We have a Bayern Clasico. Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, and Bayern Munich have not since Xabi Alonso has been the coach at Leverkusen. Bayern Munich haven't won a game against him.
Yeah. I think Leverkusen go through.
I think so too.
I don't think that it'll be a blowout, but I think that, you know, especially with Kim Min-jae and Upamecano not performing their absolute best, Kimmich not being in great form, Goretzka, even though he's back in good graces with management and seems like he's getting opportunities, isn't able to really close the deal that much. Leroy Sané, even though he looks very active in the box and in build-up, is still kind of missing something as well. I think that Leverkusen have the energy, and I think they have a bit more of the precision right now.
Feyenoord or Inter Milan? Inter Milan.
Yeah.
All right, that's our prediction, man. If you, like I said, go and subscribe, turn on the bell notification, hit the like button, hit every kind of buttons.
You better fucking
Instagram,
like this.
TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. Here we go. We are all there, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.